leaning on the people that were doing well too. Like Isaiah, for example, when I started, he was writing 40, 50,000 a month and primarily just off of mortgage protection. And so, like when I got out of my appointments, I would, if I didn't sell somebody, I wanted to know why, like why did I not get that sell? And I never let me use the excuse that it was the client's fault. Oh, that client just doesn't buy insurance, or that client just didn't know what this was. And I never use that excuse because I'm like, dude, there's people out there that can sell almost everyone.
The
If you want to
culture
thrive in
of
this
the
industry
industry.
successful, welcome to VIPAs, the game plan call.
Today, as you guys already know, or some of you guys do, some of you don't, people who are new here, people who are, been with us for a while, we are concluding the end of Q1 within our organization. So with that being said, what we want to do today is a little bit of a, interesting sort of conversation we're going to be having. New agents here, people who have been with us for a while, regardless, who have been with us in general. Challenge you guys all, take notes, pay attention, because today's gonna be a special one. We don't have one, guest speaker as a whole. We have 5, right? So with that being said, the agenda of today's conversation is going to be, giving you all the opportunity to be able to ask as many questions as you like and get insight from the top 5 producing agents and leaders within our organization, right? Probably should have asked this first. Any announcements, HD? No? Cool. All right. But again, welcome to Game Plan Call. Like, comment, subscribe on YouTube if you guys have not already. But our top 5 producers, we got Elijah Kanoho, Q1, 95,678 in production. And that's in 3 months, if you guys don't know that already. Number 2, the birthday boy, Mr. Ousmane Diallo, 82,017 in 3 months. Mr. Number 3, the Grinch himself, Anthony Amiker, 79,860 in production. And number 4, Ryan Brown, 73,799 in production. And then number 5, a whopping is Mr. Micah Durkers, $53,639 in production. Keep in mind, this is all in 3 months, guys. So when we hear these numbers, I want you guys to sort of understand the possibility here, right? We're going to give you guys the insight, get you to understand how long these guys have been in the business, what their strategies are and things like that. But with no further ado, can we pull them up? First things first, what I want to take a dive into, if it's cool with you, is sort of like get everyone to understand like what the foundation of being able to be in this position is. Like, how do you get the foundation? So with that being said, let's talk about like how long have you guys been here? Ousmane, how long have you been in the business?
I started in January 2022.
Wow. Okay, so this is going on 2.5, 3 years, right? Okay.
Sure.
Elijah, how long have you been in the business?
About 3 years coming up, few months.
Beautiful. Anthony Amiker, how can you speak?
Yeah, I got licensed in July of 2020.
Beautiful. And then Ryan Brown?
November 23.
Good Lord. Good Lord. And all of you guys were able to make, damn near 50K in income bare minimum in the first 3 months of the year. And it took you, let's just say the median amongst all of you is just about 3 years. 3 years of being in the business. So I say it to say, like, put this in perspective for everybody else here. Well, okay. With and these numbers are only 2 months and 2 weeks, if I'm not mistaken, which is crazy. Okay, so that means that you guys did a whole lot more. My apologies. You guys should have told me that. You guys are on top of your data, I thought. What's up? What's going on there? But no, my apologies. This is all from the issue paid report, which is the most important report in our organization. But the other day, so honestly, you guys are probably all like 6 figures in issued paid premium, right? For the first quarter, if I'm not mistaken. Right? Just about. Okay, give or take. But just bringing it back, right? Like, you guys have been able to make bare minimum 50K in income in 3 months, right? After being in a business 3 years. So like I want everyone to sort of understand the magnitude of like how crazy that really is, right? Because imagine like you work in corporate America or whatever you work, like being in a part of a organization for 3 years and then being able to see that kind of income is very tough. I mean, I don't know where else you can do that. I don't know where. How many of you guys? Any of you guys like graduate from school with like a degree or anything like that that pertains to this business? Any of you?
No,
No, none.
no.
No
Right.
college at
So
all.
beautiful, beautiful. Amiker, Ryan Brown. Any of you?
Nothing
I
related to
did go to
insurance.
college. Yes, I got a degree in engineering.
Engineering.
Anthony's a rocket scientist, so
Beautiful,
No,
beautiful. Ryan Brown, did you?
yeah, I got a degree, but it's not for insurance.
There you go.
That's
So
for
it doesn't pertain to the business, right? Where in most other like careers that people pursue, they have to have some sort of like underlying like experience to be able to like see this kind of income if they have the opportunity to do so. So I want everyone to understand that. Now the question now is like with that in mind, how? So that's what we're going to get into here in a moment. So starting with like foundational pieces, right? I think I'm a big advocate for saying like whatever happens in the mind, everything else will follow, right? So with that being said, let's talk a little bit about this. And uh let's see, Elijah, I want you to talk a little bit about this if that's cool. Talk a little bit about mindset, overcoming challenges, things like that. What would you say is like the biggest challenge that you faced personally in quarter 1? And like how did you push through it and continue producing at like a high level?
Absolutely. Um, I think the biggest thing with mindset for me personally, this is just what I think. Um, it really just comes down to consistency in every single aspect of your business. Consistency in the cadence in which you purchase leads. Like even if you had a bad week, every single week you need to be spending whatever your lead budget is. I don't know if it's 200 for you guys if you're starting, or 500, or 1,000 if you're a six-figure producer in the first quarter like Ousmane. I'm sure that every single week he's buying it consistently, day in, day out, week in, week out. And it's the same thing with your schedule. It's the same thing with the amount of dials that you make. It's the same thing that you should try to aim for when it comes to appointments and sits that you run. Um, the biggest thing that I see when agents kind of take off quickly, right? Like they first come in, they start making a ton, is they make a bunch of money, they make 2 sales in a day, and then they stop. So it's not a consistency when it's going bad, it's consistency when it's going good.
Mm.
So it always needs to be even kill. That's what Harold says, right? Even kill. Like never get too high, never get too low. Just stick to the game plan, whatever schedule you're on, whatever lead flow you run, like run the plan to the T.
Yeah, no doubt. That's militant, right? See, that's a big point you made there, man. It's like, new agents coming into the business, or even just people who have been here for a while in general. Like, I think that's a big differentiating factor between like top producers and just like, agent mentality, right? Which is nothing wrong with agents either, but like this is just a big point for people to consider, which is like you close that first deal of the day and like you get that high and you're like, oh yeah, I'm good now. That business is gonna stay on the books. That deal is gonna pay me out. Money hasn't even hit your bank account, but yeah, no, for sure. I posted that number in the chat. I'm good now, right? But the reality of it is that this business, unlike any other, will catch up to you if you slow down, right?
Absolutely.
So no, that's huge, man. So what I heard you say is basically just continue to stay level headed. But in terms of like challenges, did you like face like any sort of like challenge, or was it like a point in time when you felt like you weren't having any like easy kill, like what is it? Yeah, it's like
Oh yeah, all the time. Right. I mean, your schedule and the consistency of how you operate needs to stay even kill. But your business is going to look like this.
yeah,
You're
no
going
doubt.
to sell 5K in a day, and then you'll zero out, even though you bought leads, and then you sell 1K and zero out 10K. But over time, over a long enough time horizon, those peaks and valleys start to get smaller and smaller and smaller. So you can't look at your business over the course of a day or a week. You need to be looking at your business over the course of the month, because it's sales, man. I mean, you're gonna have good days, good weeks, bad weeks, but it's very hard to have a bad month if you're very consistent, and it's almost impossible to have a bad quarter if
Right.
you're very, very consistent in how you operate.
Absolutely. How you start is how you finish. Right?
Exactly. But yeah, that's the challenges, right? Is like I have those days where, I just had one on Friday. Like I just scratched out. It just happens. And then the week before that, I had a solid day where I wrote 15,000 in a day.
Mm.
But I was like so convinced in my head to just stop. I was just like, oh, I want to go walk my dogs. I want to go hang with my girlfriend. I was like, no. Like I closed 12K by afternoon. But I was like, no. I always tell myself stay even keel, operate with consistency in my schedule and the appointments that I run. So I just decided to continue and ended up writing another 3K. So now I know that's going to help me for my entire month, average out to, you know, be a pretty great month.
No doubt. And you're in leadership now too, so you really have to sort of lead by example in that regard, right? Your agent starts
Exactly.
like falling short, and you start dropping a deal, and then you go kick rocks. Oh man, monkey see, monkey do, right? So
Exactly.
big piece, man, big piece. No, what are your guys' thoughts on that? Ousmane, Anthony, Ryan, anything you guys would like to add to that in terms of like challenges? Any like unique challenges you guys like faced and like Q1 that you guys were able to come
Yeah,
out?
I mean, I don't think anybody just has like has a perfect day or perfect week. There's always gonna be ups and downs, just like Elijah says, right? Some days you're doing very well, some days you're not doing very well. I think the biggest thing is learning how to discipline your disappointment.
Mm,
I think that's very important in this business because I always say that this business is very simple, but at the same time, it's not easy,
mm-hmm,
right? Because what we do is just we buy leads, we call clients that need help, right? But throughout the whole process, there is a lot of chargebacks, there is a lot of cancellations. There is a lot of people telling you to stop calling them. So there's a lot of things that happens along the way that can just kind of distract you from keep going and you can get discouraged. But if you can just learn how to just stay focused, and it's not easy, but learning, hey, even though I had 3 no-shows appointments, I had 3 people like last week, I had like 3 appointments in a row where they didn't want to give me the banking information. And then I had a client who bought a policy for a $6,000 AP after that. What if I had quit that day and I'm saying, okay, I'm done. I don't want to call anymore. I'm done for the day. So
oh man, look at that face. Somebody please take a picture of that. Somebody please take a picture of that. That is going to be the thumbnail for this video. Good
what's
Lord.
going on there? What's happening?
Welcome back. So you said you stopped when you said you almost gave up after that, before writing that $6,000 deal.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yep.
We're good.
Yep.
So I felt like giving up, but it's just staying the course, just keeping your calendar full. For me, I feel like that's what works the best for me. I believe that if you can make up in numbers what you lack in skills. So if
Mm,
you feel like you might not be very good on the phone, you might not have the best scripts. If you have enough appointments, your calendar is full. Eventually it's gonna happen. So there's always gonna be challenges. I'm never gonna be the person who tells anybody that this business is easy because I don't think it is, but I think it's very simple. It's a
right.
simple process. If you just keep doing the same thing every single day,
Mm,
and then you don't get too disappointed when things don't go right, and you don't get too excited when things go right.
mhm,
So
mhm.
that's what I would say.
That's huge, man. That's huge. I mean, and the crazy thing is like you're doing this, and then that you're talking about the business. You're not even talking about what's going on outside. Like you still have to live your life outside of here too, right? Like how you have children, you're married, you're also fasting right now, so you're working with no food, no water, no anything throughout the entire day,
I
and
know, right?
you're one of the top producers. You're number two of the entire of the quarter, right? Which is insane, right? So how it's this is what I really want to understand because like I want to talk to like the newer agents here, like what kept you guys in the business? Because like the statistic, right? Like once you make it past that first year, like HC always says, it's like it's the second and the third and everything else after that is inevitable, right? So like talk to me about that. Like Ryan, I want to know from like, your perspective, man. Like what's like kept you in the business? I'm sure you've had like your own, fair share of like, shortcomings and things like that. But like to get to a position where like you're top five of the quarter, you're what? Because you said you got licensed in 2023. So second year into the business, right? Like
Yeah.
I'm sure you faced your own fair share of adversities like in your first year that, propelled you to get to this position. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, 2024. Obviously I was just getting started. I did take some time off and everything like that. I think I talked about like on Anthony's call, kind of like my story as far as that goes. But just knowing that, yeah, there might be rough weeks, rough times at it, but I mean, as long as you just stick to the course and just keep buying lead. I mean, it's just pretty, you work for yourself, right? You're gonna get what you put in. So if you put in, like a part-time job, you're gonna get a part-time result. So um, I just knew that if I put in the work and the effort and just kind of just follow, I'm not doing anything special. I'm just copying and pasting what somebody else taught me. So it just once you see those first deposits come in, you're like, wow. So I just worked for a couple hours and did that, and now that's kind of what kept me in the business is just having that freedom of being your own boss and knowing that there's pretty much unlimited potential.
Hmm. No doubt, man. No doubt. I think that that's a common theme amongst like, people who are like in your guys' position too. I think would you guys all agree with that too? Like all you guys obviously, beat the statistic, right? So no, that's definitely huge. Um, any other points that you guys like to make in terms of like mindset before we move on here? So I want to start talking a little bit about like lead strategy, sales strategy, schedule, like all these like tactical sort of approaches to give people the most amount of clarity when getting into this business. And obviously, after being here with however long they have been here. Anything else in that regard? Can we continue? Cool. Let's go ahead and talk about it. All right. So lead strategy, right? Obviously, you guys have your own, like, I've been reading the chat, things like that. I think, if I'm not mistaken, Elijah and FEX Demon, Ousmane, Hall of Fame Master, Amiker, Ryan Brown. Ryan Brown, I think you do everything. Amiker, you're like, you do Hall of Fame, HMP from some of the conversations you had. Am I kind of like, am I on the right track? Am I missing anything there?
New mortgage. I mean, that'd be.
Oh,
I
you
know
do.
Anthony's all over new mortgage, so
You don't do Collex?
I don't know. I don't think
Oh,
none of us do it
oh, beautiful.
besides Elijah. So
Just me.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Okay. Okay. Excellent. Oh, you guys are all on one team too, which is crazy. So seems like Amiker he got it going, man. He got it going for sure. So let's talk about this. So lead source. So obviously, you guys did HMP, Hall of Fame, FVX. Amiker, I want you to touch on this because you're very on top of these things when it comes to data, when it comes to just being straight up when it comes to your approach. Because you spoke to me on a few occasions too, giving me some great insight, taught me a lot of things in this business. I will say. I think everyone else can sort of gain some value in that regard. How did you maximize your conversion rate from MP, right? So MP is the bread and butter of our organization. Some people end up straying away from it as they continue to progress. What's kept you on MP and how are you like maximizing your conversions with MP? What kind of MP are you calling? Things of that regard.
Hmm. Well, I mean, to answer your question, I think how I've maximized my conversion on it is just really learning how to sell it. You know,
Mm,
like when like when I first started, like dude, I was YouTube University all day long, dude. Back
mm,
in the day, we would drive between appointments, and I'd be on multiple YouTube videos in between appointments, listening to different closes that people had for mortgage protection, how they would handle objections, how they would set it up in the beginning to prevent objections. Like I mastered kind of the art of like, the presentation on mortgage protection just from a lot of like listening to people and also, leaning on the people that were doing well too. Like Isaiah, for example, when I started, he was writing 40, 50,000 a month and primarily just off of mortgage protection. And so, like when I got out of my appointments, I would if I didn't sell somebody, I wanted to know why, like why did I not get that sell? And I never let me use the excuse that it was the client's fault. Oh,
mm,
that client just doesn't buy insurance, or that client just didn't know what this was. And I never use that excuse because I'm like, dude, there's people out there that can sell almost everyone, right?
mm,
So just having that mindset of like, dude, what went wrong, and maybe asking my upline like, hey, this is how the call went. This is what I said. This is what they said. This is what I showed them. This is what they said. This was their objection. What would you have done differently? What would you have, and you do that enough times, dude, there's only like so many scenarios you're going to run into, right? And then eventually you start to basically, have a response for pretty much everything. You know how to take every single call, or every single appointment. So that's the biggest thing, dude, is just understanding why you did not get a sale, and then being able to make the corrections going into your next appointment. And again, you just do that over and over.
Yeah, man, no doubt. And staying humble amongst all, like that's the biggest thing too. Like, because once you start, getting that kind of like feedback over and over and over, I can imagine that probably like a humbling experience, especially like your first year being in the business, like you're talking, you're asking these questions, and you're constantly being told like, this is where you're messing up, this is where you're messing up, this is where you're messing up, and then for some people that's like it's too much, right? But obviously for you, it's something that you were able to take, reflect on and be able to pivot. That's definitely
I think you have to be like a little bit like you have to be, like you said, humble enough to know that you don't have all the
there you
right
go.
answers, right? Like, dude, you don't know what you're doing if you're just starting. Like, I mean, I'm just telling, like, you don't, right? I don't care if you sold whatever, dude. I don't care,
Yeah.
right? Like, you could have been a top producer at 5 different companies,
Mhm.
okay? But we're selling something different over here, you know? So like, I'm gonna listen to the people that are top producers here, you know? So sometimes you'll get advice from like a top producer, and it doesn't make sense to you right now.
Mhm.
And it probably doesn't make sense because you don't understand the whole process.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
what you think is actually is not, and vice versa. Meaning you don't have it figured out yet. And so when you get a piece of advice that doesn't make sense, but it coming from a top producer, it just means that you don't understand the full picture. So sometimes you have to trust them enough to go, okay, that doesn't really make a whole lot of sense what you're saying. Or at least I thought, I kind of think it should be done a little different.
Mhm.
But maybe taking some advice and just being trustful of the person that you're getting advice from, I think is huge, dude. Like a lot of times Isaiah be like, you should do this. I'm like, really?
Yeah.
You sure? He's like, yeah, dude, trust me. It works. It works, bro.
Yeah.
He's like, it's crazy, dude, but it works. I'm like, oh, bet. I'm gonna start doing that. It works. Wow. You know,
Truth. That's the truth, man. It's everyone has an opinion, man. Everyone has an opinion, but the most, you want to take qualified advice. That's the biggest thing. Um, so I totally agree with you in that regard. Now I also want to sort of flip it on like Elijah too, because I know you guys majority are doing a lot of MP. So like Elijah, like since you're doing, majority FEX, so I think we can all agree FEX. Have any of you guys, other guys, have you guys called FEX before? Have you guys like try? Of course, I can imagine.
Before, yeah.
Okay, for sure. I think we can. That's what I'm currently, talking to most of the time or Gen Life. But I think the number one thing we can all agree on is that the show ratio for FEX is absolutely foul, right? Like they do not show. They do not
Tough.
show. Right? It's not like MP, right? MP, even MP has its fair share of gloomy days, but MP people like, I gotta watch my wording here, but let's just say they're gonna show up for an appointment more than FEX will, for simple terms. So
Absolutely.
what I want to figure out with you, Elijah, is like, how do you approach like lead follow up, and like what's like one like unconventional follow up strategy that's like made a significant impact in your success while being on FEX? Because sometimes you're not gonna one call close them, right? So like how are you being able to get around that in that regard?
You want the truth?
Yeah, tell me. You don't, do you?
The truth is,
Well, yeah.
leave everything on the table. I mean, I just try my
Oh,
absolute best
hell,
to get
your
a close
audio,
on the
man.
first call.
Your
Oh,
audio
is
is
it?
bad.
Your audio is bad.
Hold
Yeah.
on. Try this.
He's getting emotional. I thought he was about to start crying or something, start choking up.
Better?
See. Yeah, you okay? You
Yeah,
good?
yeah. Why? Was it that messed up?
Yeah. I just thought you were breaking. I didn't know it was like an emotional question. It's all good though.
It is a little emotional. I get no-showed all the time, dude. It's very
Gotcha.
emotional for me. But yeah, I just leave everything on the table. Like I don't I'll follow up, but I'll follow up once. I'm not setting an appointment. If you guys don't know, I'm just completely on inbounds right now. So I've been on both sides of the coin. I've been in outbound final expense Facebook, final expense from the ILC, aged, like I've done that side of things, and I've also done inbound. For inbound specifically, my thought process is if I set a follow up with every single person that tells me no, which is going to happen, you're not going to close every single person. But if I
Mhm.
set a follow up appointment for every single person that tells me no, and I
Mhm.
know that I can just take more inbounds,
Mhm.
and I'm going to set an appointment for 3:30, right, to try to follow up with them so
Mhm.
that hopefully they change their mind and they're going to give me their social.
Mhm.
I don't take calls for the 45 minutes because I'm anticipating this person to show up, and
Okay.
then they ghost me,
Yeah.
right? And then I lost out on that 45 minutes that I could have made another sale. So
Yep.
for me, personally speaking, um, it's very rare that I'll set a hard follow-up appointment. If I do any sort of follow-up, it's like a really soft time frame. It's
Okay.
like, hey, I want to think about it. I'll leave everything on the table. I'll try my absolute best to try to get them to close on that call.
Mhm.
If they don't close on that call, then okay, you know what, Anthony, I'm gonna try my best for you. They just have me on these calls all day. Um, I know you said you wanted to talk to your husband or your wife, sorry. Um, I'll try my best to give you a call sometime tomorrow between 2 and 6 Pacific Standard Time. And that's my follow-up. And then if I have the time, if I'm not, completely slammed back to back with presentations, then I'll try to give them a call. Um, if not, then it is what it is. On to the next one, man.
That's costly, man. That's costly for sure.
I
But man,
don't
I mean,
I know it's a
when you
weird
buy 100,000 in 3 months, you can afford to do that, you know?
it's a
Ah,
weird take, but I like leave everything on the table. So
yeah,
I'm
right.
not I'm not just like trying to soft close, like I'll really try to push it in. I'll down close multiple times before I try to let it go. Like I
Yeah.
always try handling objections the regular way. Like I want to think about it. I completely understand that you want to think about it. Like I said, we're not even too sure if you're even approved just yet, right? So let's just try to at least submit the application, see if we can get you approved, right? That whole deal. Try to handle it multiple times that way. Try to down close multiple times. Um, and then if they don't buy after down closing, handling all the objections as best as I possibly could, I'll try to give them a call whenever they wanted me to within like a hard set time frame. But I'm not setting an appointment and not taking calls just because I'm supposed to meet with Mary at 3:30 when
Yeah.
there's like 20% chance that she shows up for FVX.
Right, right. Same thing. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie to you, man. Like, I think a philosophy that we've adopted, like maybe myself, man, like adopted in the past couple of months is like double booking all appointments, right? I think that the industry standard is like, oh, the client's always right. Absolutely not. I tell my like, client is not always right. Client is not always right. It's our job. We have more experience. We paid for a course to learn how to do this stuff, right? Like we got real licensed education in however many states to advise on how to do what we do, right? So to say that the client's always right is it's questionable, but take it with a grain of salt, right? But all in all, double booking all appointments, right? Double booking all appointments, especially with the FEX, man. Triple book appointments for FEX, man. That stuff, like you can't like, because they're under like our trance, It's an interesting thing because like when we speak to them, it's like maybe it sounds a little bit not too good, but it's like when we speak to them, like it's like we have them locked in, we have them engaged, right? And as soon as we sort of can't get around the objection, or as soon as we disconnect that phone call, now their mind is it's like the void is open now, right? Before we're like this, but as soon as the phone call drops, now we're in our own separate minds doing whatever else is happening in this world, right? So the connection is now lost only on the phone and between each other. The synergy is not there anymore, right? So for us to sit here and say, and I think a lot of agents become heartbroken over this show ratio. Like, oh yeah, this appointment, this is gonna be the one. I swear they're different. They were laughing at my jokes. They were telling me that they like me. And then they're mad when that phone goes one ring, two ring, three ring. Your call has been forwarded. That's a heartbreaker. So now with that being said, man, absolutely, I totally agree with you in that regard with making sure that double booking all appointments, not counting on people to show up. Huge piece. Anything else you guys like to add in terms of like lead strategy, prospecting, anything like that before we move on to like more sales strategy based things?
Yeah, for lead strategy, I would say, I mean, obviously everybody knows it's all about automating your lead flow, right? You want to get to the point where every single week, there's no negotiations, there's no like you buying leads or you buying leads, right? There's no other way, right? You always buy a lead every single week. But also, when you first get started, you might not have the funds to do it. When I got started, I didn't have the funds. So sometimes you might need to be a little bit more creative and
Mhm.
figure out a way to be able to afford leads, right? I know
Mhm.
people that when I got started in the industry, we didn't even buy leads. I mean, over here we get to buy leads. Sometimes we think we have to buy leads. No, we get to buy leads. Where I was before, you had to go and prospect, talk to random people at the gas station on the street, trying to recruit them into your business, sending to a business opportunity meeting so they can give you a top 25 list of the friends and family so you can sell them insurance.
Mhm.
We don't have to do that over here. We can just buy leads, right? So maybe if you don't have enough, the money yet, maybe you can just posting on social media, start talking to people that start getting a little bit of sales. And then when you have enough money, then you can start investing in leads. If you have more time than money, you can take a part-time job on the weekend,
Mhm.
right? If you on Zoom and you don't have any appointments, you don't have money to buy leads, and you just hanging out on Zoom is cool, but I would rather just go and get a job, make some money on the side on the weekend, have enough money to start investing in my business. Because if you're not consistently buying leads every single week, it's just gonna be harder and harder for you to just get ahead. So that's what I would say, man. If you have more time than money, go get a job, figure out a way to have money to buy leads. I don't know, man, get a roommate so you can save money on rent, whatever you got to do to have enough money to buy leads. Because without leads, I mean, it's hard to make sales in this business. So
Yeah.
that's what I would say.
Lead flow is cash flow, man. You know that. Lead flow is cash flow. So absolutely, that's the truth. No, as well, get a job is one piece. I'd say another thing is like we also have, if you guys don't know already, we do have, I think it's sometimes like you have to be like you have to qualify for it. But so if you like go get through the qualification process, there are lead assist opportunities within the organization that
Yeah, I
you
forgot about.
if they qualify. Obviously, it's only a 90-day program, but it gets you on your feet. So it goes back to exactly what you said, time and money. So no doubt, man, that's definitely huge. I mean, that's a common theme amongst all of you guys, right? It's like all of you guys are spending. I mean, I want to know how much are each of you guys spending on leads on a monthly basis? Like, we'll start Ousmane. How much are you spending on a monthly basis?
About $8,000 a month
8,000 a month for you to make how much in a month in income net?
income net, probably like 15,000.
Elijah, how much are you?
Six, 6 to 8 thousand.
68,000 to make how much in net income?
Yeah, probably about 12 to 15, depending on how much GI I write.
Beautiful, beautiful. Yes. Oh, good Lord. Get into issues or something. Amiker, how much you spending? How much are you netting?
Yeah, I spend between probably 8 to 10 grand a month.
Okay.
Depends on the month. Um, as far as net, I mean, because I have agents, right? So I mean, you get a little bit of override income. Um,
Just off your business, off your pen.
but yeah, you're probably looking at like 20 plus thousand a month.
Yeah, okay. And then Mr. Brown.
Same about 8,000
Pardon?
and about 15,000. So give or take.
Beautiful. All right, but you guys got to this position. It's not something you just came in the business, you just started swinging, just right, just dumping money on thousands of dollars of leads. You guys obviously learned how to close first, right? So I don't want anyone here to get overwhelmed, right? The theme is that you guys all learned how to close, you mastered closing, and then you started investing into your business gradually, right? First of all, I appreciate you guys sharing those numbers too. That's huge. But I just want people to sort of understand that, right? This business is like the barrier to entry to get in is extremely low, right? But the opportunity in the timeline it can take to be able to get to a position where you guys are in is much shorter than anywhere else that you can, possibly get into. So, and this goes back to the original point, right? Which is the fact that top producers know their data. So, extremely important. But I appreciate you guys for sharing that. Moving on here. So I want to talk a little bit about like sales strategy, client conversations, things like that. I know Amiker, you're a big proponent of this. Talk about building trust, man. Especially like, oh, actually, no, I want Ousmane to answer this because I know Ousmane, you started a different company. And you had to like actually go out there and generate your own sort of leads, right? So this is kind of help people sort of start by generating some sort of income within their warm market, right, or the cold market, right? Obviously, we don't ever push anybody to call their family and friends. That is not something that we are advising here. But it is something that, if you know someone that needs coverage, why not, right? So what's your process for like building trust quickly with like a new lead, especially like in a cold market?
In the cold market, well, I don't do that anymore, but I'll say social media. Um, posting on social media, talking about what we do. One of the things that they used to tell us is don't be a don't be a secret agent,
Mm,
right? If you're in the life insurance business and you have a social media platform, just tell people what you do. You never know who you can reach out. You never know who's going to be inspired by your story or who might be looking for what you have to do. So I say definitely right now, social media is a big way for you to get your word out there and let people know what you do. That's because if they don't know you, but at least they can see you talking about what you do on social media, then you build a little bit of trust, right? Doesn't mean that once you get on the phone with them, they're gonna buy, but at least you have a little bit of trust already. So we cold market, that's what I would say.
yeah, man. I said watch your content. It's hilarious. You getting that blue check. I said IG is gonna give you that blue check pretty soon. Feels rolling. How much have you like generated any traction from doing that? Like, have you been able to close off of doing that?
I close a few, not a lot though, but I've closed a few sales, mostly from people that I already knew, like
Okay.
IULs. They're
Okay.
like, oh yeah, I want to get some IULs for my kids and things like that. So I got a few sales, but not a lot of sales from it.
There you go.
Mm.
Still, I mean that's still something, right? That's lead income. Right? A new agent comes in here. It's actually so it's a bit of an unorthodox practice that I'm not going to advise anybody to do. But at the old company, right, or the practice company, they used to make us do this thing where they make us write down like 25 people that we knew, right? And obviously that's like MLM behavior that I will not advocate for. But there was a nuance about it, right? There was something about it that was like, Cole Higby actually he did this, and this is why he's so good at what he does. You make a list of 25 people that we knew, and then you do a practice presentation with them, right? A practice presentation with 25 people. Um, and then what happens is that you start refining your sales skills, right? Because they'll tell you how it is. They'll tell you like what you're doing right, what you're doing wrong. And it'll be like the least amount of pressure because you're talking to someone that you know. And then best case scenario, you close them, right? Best case scenario, they just say, oh, you know what? After listening to you, Ousmane, I actually do need some coverage, right? And that's 100% income. No split behavior with that. You, right? And that's money for leads. That's money to be able to, buy yourself time, whatever it may be, right? But no, that's huge, man. Definitely, content is an extremely important thing. Leveraging the warm market is super important. Is there Ryan? I want to ask you this too. Like, is there any like specific questions that you ask in like every client conversations that helps you like close more deal? Or is it like if so, like what is it and like why does it work?
No, I mean it's just depends on lead type for me. I mean, on kind of how I approach the sales, right? Because like Hall of Fame leads, they're calling leads. They don't really know why they're on the phone, if it's required or what it is. It's like the interest level is kind of low, so you're pretty just direct with them. With like age mortgage, new mortgage, I'm getting the commitment, asking the golden question every time, saying, hey, if we can find a plan today that covers your needs, fits your budget, is there any reason why you would not want to submit an application today to see if we can get you qualified for coverage? And right then and there, I'm gonna get all the objections out of the way. Either have them off the phone in 5 minutes or less and get to dialing, booking more appointments, or we're gonna continue the pitch and get the sell. So, but yeah, that's it there.
Like golden question, man. That's beautiful. I'm gonna role play that with you here in a minute. So I just be ready. But that golden question is so huge. It goes back to everything we always talk about, right? Shaving down the lead, right? You get because this is a business of saving time, right? We're in the business of saving time. So that way we can get to doing, what we need to do next, right? Like Elijah was saying, right? Just get back on the phones and get to the next lead. Don't count on that appointment. But that golden question, you want to say it one more time so some people might know, some people might not know.
Yeah. So if we, yeah, I mean, yes, if we can find a plan today that fits your budget and covers all the needs you're looking to get covered, is there any reason why you would not want to submit an application today to see if we can get you qualified for the coverage?
Boom. And what does
Yes or
that? Well, I'll
I guess
say
it commit. They know they're submitting an application today. If not, they're going to tell me they're not going to submit an application. I'm going to get them off the phone. Like, I'm not going to reschedule them. Like Elijah was saying, if you reschedule them, you block out 45 minutes. shoot, out of 100 reschedules, you might sell 5 of those 100 reschedules, but you booked up, I'm not getting math, 4,500 minutes on your calendar when you could have had, qualified people. You might have got 5 sales, but you probably would have got more if you were just spending that time dialing.
Mhm. No doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt. Man. You shit on lead, man. Get the objections out the way in the beginning, right?
Yeah.
So, okay, so
I
how
guess
did you
one
handle
other
that?
thing would be, go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm listening.
I was gonna say one other thing, like for sure, not on Hall of Fame so much, but like on age mortgage, new mortgage, you're getting their why. Like you get a pretty good, they're telling you exactly why they need the coverage from their own words. I'm trying to pick it out of them, but they're gonna tell you why they need the coverage.
So let me ask you this. So now let's say I say you ask me that question, and I say, and obviously this is after you told me that, I filled out the request, I saw the request, I saw my handwriting, everything. Then you say, is there any reason why you would not want an application sent in today to see if you can get approved? And then I tell you, well, as long as as long as my wife is okay with it, then it should be a problem. What would you say?
Gotcha. Yeah, was your wife around right now? Yeah.
No, she's not.
She's not. I got you. Yeah, no worries there. So what we could actually do is we can go ahead and just reschedule this.
Oh,
Obviously I do want to go ahead. Yeah,
oh
I'm
man.
not. If there is a wife, and then I make sure, like, are you the primary financial decision maker? You don't need her here. Like, I'm having them say, no, I make the decisions. Um, you know, anything like that. But if they need to talk about it, we're not going any further
There
because
you
it's
go.
just gonna more waste of time. So
I thought I could get you there. I thought I could get you there, but obviously not. I mean, your numbers don't lie, so that was a foolish mistake on my end, man. But no, that's exactly what it is. Like people get that sales breath. They get hungry. They don't want to have the wife then, and they wonder like why they spent like 30 minutes to go through the entire questionnaire just to get banged on. I need to go talk to my wife. Huge. And honestly, like I said, that was a trick question. So in the beginning, we would have already known, right? When we asked the question of, is a wife cool bar on the loan? You have a spouse, significant other, any other decision makers in the household that help you out with things like this. Okay, they are there. Excellent. They're not there. Great. Let's go ahead and schedule this out so that we were saving each other time and headache. Right. Then they start talking about, oh, no, they make decisions. I make my own decisions. Right. Well, yeah, no, honestly, between the both of us, it'll just save the both of us some time because I'll be going over the claims process with her, and then we'll go over some options for you, right? So that way, both of you guys are in sync and you guys understand, how to claim these funds if God forbid something were to happen, right? So no, man, that was huge. That's huge. Absolutely, it saves a whole lot of time too. So there's that. Anything else? Any other like unique questions that you guys like ask your clients to sort of like gauge their why, gauge their need, anything like that? No, pretty much.
There's one thing that
There he goes again. Please take a picture of it. There he goes. Good Lord, Ousmane's on a roll today.
Yeah, I'll pick it up here. So one thing I ask my clients is, I like to ask questions in a way where, maybe it's like your transfer of thought and idea to them, but then they can almost see it as it was their idea to begin with. Because when it's their idea, right, they're going to take a hold of it and they're going to move forward on it. But if it's just you telling them something, then they may not, right? So, I ask them a lot of questions like, yeah, so, when you had originally, or everyone's situation is different, Bob. So if God forbid something happened to you, who's the one that would kind of be left to, who'd be left to deal with this loan? I don't say who you leaving the house to, right? That makes it seem like they have something to give somebody when they really don't, right? Who has to deal with this loan? That's a very burdensome question, right? Or if it's final expense, if God forbid something happened to you, who's going to be the one that's stuck with your funeral expenses? It's very burdensome. Stuck with my gosh, I don't want to be stuck with nothing, right? I like a question. Another question I like asking is, if you didn't have like this type of insurance at all, have you guys ever talked about like what that would look like for you guys as far as being able to afford the home or being able to take care of things at the home? Have you guys talked about that, or have you guys thought about that at all? Right? Like if you didn't have this, have you thought about what it would look like, or have you talked about it? Right? Um, those are some good questions that like kind of start the conversation, I guess.
Fire, fire. No, definitely. Those are questions that get people to start thinking, because that's what we know. This life insurance it's not like you know, selling a phone, right? Or yeah, selling a car, right? I mean, like yeah, you kind of need those things for sure, but this is like an emotional buy, right? So like gauging that Like you ask the same questions that you're asking me right now, or asking a client here in like a different sales industry, it's just not gonna make sense. They're gonna brush you off. They're gonna think it's corny, right? But here is something that people actually really need to think about. One of the agents actually had asked me this over the like last week. They said like it was a new agent. He didn't have the wife there, and I'm not gonna lie, I lost it. And he got banged, right? And I was like, you know what? We have like SOPs to be able to explain to you why the wife needs to be there, all that stuff. So there should be no reason. Kid didn't read the SOPs. That's fine. Got to the end. I told him, I'm like, look, this is something like, imagine this. How many clients do we speak to on a daily basis that haven't, like, let's just say truckers, for example. Truckers are on the road like 3 weeks out of the 4 weeks of the month. They don't talk to their wives. They don't see their wives. They don't see their kids most of the time. They're out there being the breadwinners, right? So to have that sort of conversation about like they barely ever get to go on dates, they barely have like a good relationship or connection with their wives. It's very tough for them to maintain that kind of relationship with their spouse. But for us to be able to bridge that gap, right, just for something as simple of coverage, right, it's a unique thing, a unique sort of dynamic, but it kind of bridges that gap and brings them back to like connect with each other, right? Like how many times do you guys like see that? Where it's like you have like the wife and the husband, they haven't spoken like days, you can tell they haven't, right? They're like, oh, I'm just gonna merge my husband on the phone. He's there, and then they're laughing and they're having like simple conversation, but you can tell like it's like something they don't really talk about. Something that just reminds each other that they actually care about each other. It's a beautiful thing, you know, in that regard. But we're not like supposed to be some sort of like relationship sort of advocates. But you know what I'm trying to say, though. You know what I'm trying to say. It's like it's important. It's just as important to be able to have them there for that reason as well. But no doubt, man. Moving on here though.
Pamela had a good question there. She said, what do you say when with the rebuttals when they say, is this required with Hall of Fame? So this is the questions you will get with Hall of Fame, from time to time. So usually what I say is, have they not gone over that information with you when you close on your loan? Trying to ask them the questions, just to kind of disrupt their mind a little bit. No, well, when you get the loan, there's three type of insurances you have for your mortgage. You have the homeowner's insurance to protect your home in case of fire and disaster. You have PMI, that's usually a protection from the bank. Mortgage protection is the only thing that will protect you if you pass away, you become disabled or ill. It makes sure that the loan is covered. Does that make sense? Yes. And then I keep going.
Well, I like that, Ousmane. I never said it like that. Mortgage protection is the only thing that's going to protect you as the borrower.
Yeah.
Always just said mortgage protection protects you as the borrower. I never said it's the only thing. Dude, that's great. That's a word track. Hey, yeah. So yeah, you have homeowners insurance, which protects the physical property, house were to catch on fire, burn down, things like that. Then you have PMI, which protects the bank, and mortgage protection is the only insurance that protects you if you are as the borrower. That's lovely. Love that.
All right.
Yeah, you still learn things every day. One question I like to ask too, Usman, is if God forbid something, and this is great for final. This I used to say I used to ask this on final expense actually. I would say, yeah. So, Elijah, if something happened to you, I mean, who's the one that's going to be kind of stuck with these funeral expenses? Like, children, family. My daughter. Okay. And I always like to ask because every family situation is a little different. Elijah, you know, would this is this a funeral bill that your daughter's like a millionaire? She just write a check, it's no problem. Would it be a little difficult for her, or like some families, maybe even a little impossible?
It'd be impossible. She's in college.
Got it. Got it. Okay. So she isn't even working yet. She's in college, just getting her life started. Yeah. And that's very common. I hear that all the time. And that makes a lot of sense. So you just want to make sure if something happens to you, well, especially while your daughter's in college, right? That one, she's not having to take out a loan, setting her back financially, having to ask friends or family, as hard as that can be, or having to do like a GoFundMe or something like that. You just want to make sure it's taken care of. She doesn't have any stress about it.
Exactly.
I understand. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. So I ask it in a way that's like very unassuming in a sense that like I'm not trying to be manipulative. That's why I throw in words like, you know, that's why I throw in words like you were just kind of thinking, or I throw in words like, every situation is different. So I always like to ask, I throw in things like that because it's like it becomes fair for me to ask the question, right? But I love that. Is it going to be easy, difficult, or impossible? Because what that does is starts to get them thinking about it actually happening and then being like, oh, yeah, it actually probably would be pretty difficult, if not impossible. Or sometimes they say, "Hey, oh yeah, she's paid, dude. She makes a bunch of money."
Mhm.
And I flip it on them and go, "Okay, great." So it sounds like what you did was you probably sent in the form to get options because you didn't want her to have to do it. Sounds like she could.
Mm.
You just didn't want her to have to do it. You didn't want her to have to take on that responsibility for you. Is that kind of what you were thinking, or?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. And I always say that's very common. I hear that all the time. Yeah, she could do it, right? But you don't want her to have to, right? Because maybe she's gonna have to, take it out of her savings account, or it's just gonna set her back a little bit, and we don't want to do that. Got it. Okay, understood. Those are
Yeah.
some.
Some
Solid.
when they say, "Oh yeah, they can do it," sometimes I ask, "So do you?" I got that from Jerry Minor. If you guys found, do you want Anthony? Do you want her to have to take care of this loan? I mean, do you want her to have to take care of this mortgage if you didn't have to? No, obviously, I don't want her to do that. Okay, and then, well, they just have to admit to you that why they need it. It has to come out of their own mouth.
It does. Yeah. They have to admit to, because if they don't, a lot of people will give a whole presentation and the client never admitted to there being a problem.
Mhm. Mhm.
How, how do you think you're going to sell something if you've gone through a whole appointment and the client never admitted that there was a problem to begin with? That is craziness, right? There's got to be a problem. If there's no problem, there's no sale, there's no solution, there's no sale, right? There has to be a problem and they have to admit it out of their own mouth. You can tell them all day, right? But until they admit it for themselves, the emotion, the why, it's not strong enough to get them to pay 80 bucks a month, 100 bucks a month, 150 a month, 200 a month until they admit it, you know? And so I don't know. Yeah, it's like you want to ask these questions in a way that, like, you don't want it to be so open-ended to where you can't control their response. So whenever I ask a question, I want it to be a question where it doesn't matter how they respond to it. I can play off of the question. For example, would it be easy, difficult, or impossible? They have to pick one of those three options because that's the only options I gave them. And no matter which one they pick, I know exactly how I'm going to respond to it, right? I don't want to ask a question like, so, Ion, why did you fill out the form? What were you thinking? Why did you fill out? Why did you send in the request? That's a very I understand why you asked it, but there's many different ways that you can ask that same question to control the response that you get, to keep the call, because that's where a lot of new agents struggle is their calls go wayward fast. And the reason why is because they're asking really open-ended questions, and then the client is just they're taking it wherever they want to take it. Where, like, for a seasoned agent, they ask questions in a very controlled manner
Mhm.
and they control the response, but they're giving them not just maybe one, like, it's not necessarily a yes or no question, but it could be a question like, who's going to be stuck with the house? Oh, it's my daughter, it's my son, it's my mom, it's my sister, it's my wife, but like, you're not asking like, it's a question that's very controlled, right? You don't want to ask a uncontrollable question where it's just going to go so far right or left that you can't ever get back. You know what
Mhm.
I mean? So that's my 2 cents on questions.
That's fire, man. That's huge. I think like a framework that like sort of correlates to that is like figuring out what the goal is if they've shopped around, and then what is like the hard why, especially with FEX, right? Like with FEX, a big thing that's kind of like helped, a few people. I think I just listen to some of Elijah's, some of Elijah's like super straight up when it comes to, talking to people. He's like tells them, social and banking, like have it ready. But I think, I think with some people, other people who are running FEX, like the first question to ask is like you said, right? What exactly like prompted you to fill out the request in the first place? Like, give me some coaching in that regard. Like,
Eh,
what exactly?
Raymond, can I ask the question?
Yeah, we're gonna be taking questions at the end. At the end,
Okay.
if you want to text your question in the chat, you can for sure. But like, what exactly prompted you to fill out the request? Like, and then why now? Have you ever tried that? Like the why? Like, okay.
Oh, I've tried it all. And I mean, sometimes you're gonna get a good response, right? But my goal is to maximize my opportunities, right? Yeah, you're gonna get some people that go, well, yeah, dude, I filled it out because if something happens to me, dude, I don't want to leave my wife, stuck to deal with this by herself. We got 2 kids, I'm the primary bread. You're gonna get that, but it's not gonna be like it's gonna be a lower percentage of the time, right? So I would rather ask a question that I can control the response so that I can control the phone call. You know what I mean? And so instead of asking like, what prompted you to fill out the form, dude, they could easily be like, well, I just wanted to get options. I just wanted to see what the cost was, right? Or, oh, I filled it out because you guys kept sending me 5,000 of these. So I was like, gosh, let me just send it in, right? I thought I needed to send it back. It looked like it came from my bank. Or I sent it back because, I just wanted to see what this was. I didn't know what it really was about. I just wanted to see what it was. Those are responses that are tough to respond to. So instead of asking it like that, just say, hey, most families that submit this request, it's for one reason. And that reason is that they want to make sure if God forbid something happened to them as the primary income earner of the household, they want to make sure their family's taken care of and they don't risk losing the home or struggling financially. Is that kind of what you had in mind as well, or did you have something completely different in mind? Almost 100% of the time they say that's exactly what I had in mind. Got it. Okay, great. That's a much better way to ask the question because you're controlling the response. But like what prompted you to send this in? It's like, dude, they could take that and a lot of new agents ask it like that and the conversations go south very fast.
Yeah.
Asked a very open-ended question that they didn't know what the hell they were, what kind of responses they were going to get.
Right, right. Has to be tied back to the overall, reason as a whole, man. It comes down to framing. Comes down to framing from what I'm hearing you say. So no doubt, man. Now this is fire stuff. I hope everyone's like learning from this. We're gonna start taking questions here in a minute, but really just want to talk a little bit about a few more things. Like let's talk about like schedule real quick, and then I kind of want to understand like finish off like what your guys' goals are going in like Q2. If that's cool. So Ryan, talking about this, like obviously you've been in the business for 2 years. In terms of like schedule, right? You got kids, you married. What's the at-home situation looking like?
I have a child. So got a 10-month-old. So sleeping sometimes good, sometimes not so good. But as far as that goes, schedule is the biggest thing. That's the biggest thing I changed this year was just having a set schedule. Like
Okay, let's talk
my
about
wife
that.
knows like I have my calendar blacked out, like my Google calendar. I got my times blacked out for lunchtime and stuff like that. But other than that, I'm in the office and wife knows and everybody knows that it's just time for me to work. So um but the biggest thing for sure too is if you have a 7 a.m. appointment or 8 a.m. appointment, that's your first appointment of the day, don't wake up at 7:45, 7:50 and roll out of bed and think you're gonna write a policy because you're not. Your blood's not flowing. You you know, you're not gonna be on edge. You're gonna be, lackadaisical and messing up your words and not have everything, maybe if you're reading a script, you're not reading, fluently or you sound like a robot, whatever the case may be. But I'm waking up at 4:45, 5 o'clock in the morning. Not saying everybody has to do that, right? But that's just what fits for my schedule. But get up and get your blood flowing. We gotta get a little workout in, a little stretch, meditate, do whatever you gotta do, but get your head right and before you start your day.
Oh, it's a mental
So,
business.
yep. Yep. Because when you get, no, no, no for your first 3 appointments, then you're like, well, damn, that's
You start questioning your ability.
yeah.
Sure. This is not I always tell people it's not like a business or like where you gotta like lift a box or make a taco, right? This is like it takes like real like burden on your mind. Of course, that's hard work for sure in its own way, but this is something unique, man. Little bit about yeah, no doubt. Talk about a little bit. So like, what you said you just started working on that this year, right?
Yeah. Yep.
What is
Last
some,
year I was kind of all over the place. Go ahead.
what is something that you eliminated from your schedule like in Q1 that helped you become more productive and close more deals to be able to get to a position where you're in now?
That I eliminated from my schedule. Um, I'd say maybe I added to where like I set goal like I can't really say what I eliminate like I like change things up about like way I operate and stuff like I can't leave the room until I make like 100 dials or make a sale or something like that like to where I'm holding myself accountable. Yeah, I do have like that lunch break scheduled out and stuff like that to where I'll leave for that, but aside from that my goal is just like if I because I like to go hang out with my 10-month-old daughter, right? Like I have that freedom. That's why we enjoy this job so much because we have so much freedom, but that's what also kills us. So is you take advantage of that. So I make a goal. Once I hit that goal, and then I'll go hang out with them for 30 minutes or whatever and then get back to it. But I didn't really change a whole lot other than just knowing that 7 a.m. I'm sitting down, I'm on the Zoom, I'm either making dials or I'm running appointments. It's consistency, that's all it is.
Yeah, I mean, if we had more time, man, I love like doing more like deeper dive, like breakdown of like what your actual habits are, right? Because it seems like practicing what we call mind, body, spirit, right? Which some people try to neglect in this business, which is, I mean, honestly, you can get by doing it without it. Um, but it looks like all what, one, two, three, four, all four of you guys are in pretty good shape, right? Seems like you guys take care of your health, right? What do you got? What other guys? You guys all have routines and
You
things
know
like
what I
that.
think the number one thing is for a successful agent, dude,
Huh, tell me.
is whether or not they plug in and get involved in the team.
Mm,
That's going to be the number one. If you come in the team, if you're a brand new agent right now and you don't talk to anybody all day long, you're not going to be here in a month. I promise you that. If you come in here, your screen's off, you don't talk to anybody. Maybe you do, like if you like need some help, you finally get somebody on the phone, and so you're like, hey, can you guys help me? Um, I need to like that. Like you're not going to be successful in this business. You're just not, dude. The agents that I see have success, even when they're not like like maybe coming out the gate swinging, crushing it. They come in, they get to know the people on the team. They talk to them, they introduce themselves, they ask them questions after their, hey, I listened to your call. Why did you do this? Why did you do that? Can you explain to me why you went with that product? I was kind of following you in the toolkits and I was thinking this and you did that. So I'm just kind of help me understand. Hey, Usman, what leads do you buy? How many do you buy? Hey, Usman, like, can I role play a quick scenario with you real quick? Or, sometimes it's just playful banter, you just kind of be bullshitting on the, and those people have success, in my opinion. The ones that are off, kind of just camera off all day, doing like God knows what, they don't actually engage. Those are the agents that struggle. So if you were a new agent, or maybe you've been here a while and you want to succeed, or maybe you want to take the next step, start getting engaged with the people here on Zoom. Start like, getting more involved, with people, right? And dude, we're bouncing in our Zoom room, Ion, dude, we're bouncing ideas off of each other all day long. Dude, this isn't a business where you can get on one call and learn everything you need to know. Listen, I've been doing this for 5 years, and Usman just dropped a little nugget that I'm going to use going forward 5 years later. So it's not like you're going to get on one call and be like, oh, that's how you do it? Okay, great. Yep, I'm going to be a top producer now. No, it takes being in the mix over and over and over again, day in, day out, constantly hearing objections, constantly asking how to overcome them, constantly, hey, what are you doing? Oh man, I like the way he said that. I like the way she said that. Oh man, that was great. I'm going to use that. It's all that. It's the culmination of everything that gets you to being a top producer. So that'd be my number one advice.
the one that lasts, the one that wins, man.
Can I piggyback on that?
Yeah, no doubt, HT.
Just that whole like, if you don't show up, you don't ask questions and that type of stuff. I mean, honestly, I mean, I just read that book, What Ego is the Enemy, and it was like just not asking questions. Like, oh, you have an ego problem. Oh, you're too good to ask questions. Oh, you're too good to show up. Oh, you're too good for everybody. You don't need to be here. Oh, because you're better than everybody. So you don't really have to be here. Yeah, you're right. You're better than everybody. Your business reflects, right? It's like you ain't writing nothing. So I don't understand why you're not here. It doesn't make any sense to me, right? Not like unmuting, like, oh, I don't need to unmute. Oh, okay, because you're better than everybody. And it's like, but you're also not writing. So that's crazy. No, it's like, what are you scared of? Like, I get it. Everybody has that like, oh, well, I'm scared. Like, oh, like I don't you have that fear. Like, I mean, has anybody done a presentation and then everybody just made fun of their presentation?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Well,
Nobody's gonna do that. They're gonna be like, all right, man, you did this, unless you say something crazy out of the wall, like Ion when he says stuff to clients. But that stuff is funny. But at the end of the day, nobody's gonna sit there and go, "Oh, you're terrible, you suck." Nobody's gonna do that. We're like, all right, man, let's fix this. Here's where you messed up. Here's what happened. Here's what you kept doing. You need to fix this. You need to fix that. That's how you're gonna learn. That's how you're gonna get better. You know. The other thing too is like having your camera off. Why do you even show up to Zoom? You don't have your camera on. Why are you even here? Just don't be here. Because it's like you just have your computer on just to have your computer on, then you just walk away and you're not really working. Is that like a way for you to lie to yourself into thinking that you're actually working just because your Zoom is on? That's like, again, another way to like lie to yourself, you know? Well, I'm here. I hear it all the time. Well, I was there. I'm on Zoom. I'm like, you're on Zoom, really? You're on Zoom without a camera on, or you're on Zoom with your what is it, the avatar thing? I'm like, come on, dude, your avatar's on. You know you're not there. That thing just sits there while you makes it look like you're there, but you're really not. Like, let's keep it real. Like, why are you even here? What's the point? Like a lot of people talk about, I want to do really well in this business. I want to be better. I want to be the best. I want to write a lot of business. Like at the end of the day, I mean, me and Ant were talking, Amiker were talking about, act like it then. Like, why don't you act like it? Like you're telling us you want to do well, but like you don't act like it at all whatsoever. You're acting like you got all the money in the world. Like, you're just sitting on Zoom, hanging out, talking to everybody. You're not working. Like you must be rich. Like you don't have a money problem. But you're making it seem like that, right? At the end of the day, it's like so. It's Monica, I'm broke. Good. Then I mean, the people who want to do better and actually want to make money, great. Unmute the most. People who are like, I'm broke, great. You should be the most unmuted person. If you're not making any money or you want to make money, you should be the most unmuted, the most question asking person, period. You should be here all the time, camera on, and asking the most questions. That's how you succeed here. Bug everybody. Ask
Like
everybody every question.
Kimball's on here, right? Kimball, are you here?
Kimball's here. Yeah, I see him.
Yeah, Kimball's here. Dude, the guy comes in, he's gonna be a killer, dude. I know it right now because dude, the guy comes in and he's constantly asking questions, constantly unmuting.
Yep.
Like, dude, he's like in his first week, dude. He's like unmuting like almost every call,
Yep.
asking all these questions. Like, hey, dude, why did you do that? I was following along. Why? He's engaging with the other people on Zoom, you know? So it's like, dude, it's just a matter of time. It's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when, dude. He's gonna just start crushing it. Seriously, you know?
Yeah. The people who do well, it's not by accident. Just so you guys know, it's not by accident. It's all intentional. It's absolutely intentional. The people who say they want to do well and succeed, they actually act like it, right? It's like Usman. Have you ever seen Usman's camera off? I don't even know if I've ever seen his camera off ever.
Well,
Never, never.
this is like
Sometimes.
You know, you know what I mean? Ryan, never see him without his camera. You know what I mean? Like these people who are always here, it's like you never not see their camera on. They're always there. They're always present. They're always Ryan, always present, always working. But that's the truth. It's always the same exact people. The people who write the most business are always present.
Yeah, no doubt. It's like an office, man. Like this is the thing, right? It's like if we were in an office, there would be no like, what are you gonna do? Run away?
Wear a mask.
Right. What are you gonna do? Think of it the same way. We're blessed to be a part of an organization where like we can do this virtually. We have the infrastructure to be able to do it virtually. But like with that comes like great responsibility on everybody else's end, right? Like it's only just to help you guys. It's only to help you guys. You can if we were in an office culture, we would not be able to do the way that, or get to the point where we're at right now. Like imagine everybody's on a sit at the same time. Leaders have to go and like give agents advice. One of the other agents on the other side of the office, like they have to go sprint over there. Like it would be madness. It would be a jungle. Luckily, we can do this virtually, but it's going to take for all of us to be able to sing the same tune and come together in that regard with just bare minimum stuff, man. You guys and it's not like no surprise. You are told this before you get into the organization. It's not like we told yeah, you're going to be a millionaire as soon as you sign these documents and you get this course, and you're not going to do anything. You're just going to come in the Zoom and that's it. To show you just your name tag. That's all. You're good. No, you're told from day one, from the beginning, unmute, camera on. That's it. And it's crazy. I just like how AC said, and Amiker is saying, I've yet to meet an agent. I don't know if you guys maybe have. You guys have been in the industry longer than me. Have you? I don't know. I've not yet to meet an agent that does have the camera off and is muted. I've never seen it. I don't know. Have you guys? Maybe. Silent closers. Silent closers? No. It's tough. Tough thing to come around. But let's not get off track here. Last thing I want to talk about is goals, future strategy for strategy for all you guys. Right. So looking ahead to Q2, I want this from all of you guys. What's one major adjustment or improvement you want to make? Improvement you plan to make to increase your production even further? Or are you guys just gonna keep the pace the way that you've been going right now? We'll start with Elijah.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of increasing the production, I kind of want to keep it, around 30, 35,000 in issue pay a month. But my real goal is to start sharing the success. There's so much business being written right now in this Zoom room, and there's so much people making life-changing income, and I want to bring on more people to share a piece of that. So that's really my goal in Q2 is to start growing, not just myself, but the people around me. and help other people be a part of the same wave because it's getting massive. Like this is just the beginning to see the trajectory of this agency over such a short time frame. What is this, HD? 3 years? 3 years.
Yep.
The wave is already massive and it's just getting started. So bringing more people on board, that's my goal.
Love that. Ousmane. What's the
Yeah,
plan?
for me is I got a bunch of goals. One of the goals is Cancun. I want to go to Cancun because I know FFL has the Cancun retreat this year, so I'm trying to qualify for it. That's one thing I want to go. So I'm looking forward to seeing a bunch of you guys out there because I want to go. And then also, I just got because as far as staff, I had one person working helping me out with as a dialer with leads, but I'm planning on hiring more staff because I'm starting to realize that having people doing the things that you don't like to do, even though it can cost a little bit of money, with the return of investment, it's just it's worth it. So that's one thing I want to do to get more people to help me out with, responding to messages, helping me out doing the things that I don't feel like doing all the time. So that's
That
one thing I want to do.
which
So I can get to that consistent 40K every single month.
Yep.
That's what I want to be at, where I can write every single month a minimum of 40K. So
out of my mind, you'll be able to do that with that strategy, man. Because then the only thing you have to focus on is literally just getting on presentations if you have more staff helping you out.
exactly. So I want to get to the point where all I do is just come to work, open my computer, and run appointments. I don't want to text clients. I don't want to just check my policies with the carriers. I don't want to do all of that. I just want to just run appointments and focus on the money-making activities.
There you go.
So,
There you go.
that's the goal. That's the next step, the next level I'm trying to get to right now.
Well, that's elite level, right? But obviously, you had to start off where you had to start off in order to be able to get to a position where you can start leveraging that. So that's huge, man. Amiker, what's the plan for you, man? I know you're growing, your team's growing ever so greatly.
Yeah, man. I mean, that was my goal at the beginning of the year, dude, was to get, more Hall of Fame producers, more 30, 40K producers in our team. And I feel like we're on the way to doing that. Like I said, Ousmane, Ryan, both are on pace for Hall of Fame right now. We got other guys coming up the ranks, Dallin, Kimball, AJ, even Leighton's gonna come on. I mean, we got guys coming up that are gonna start really cranking it, dude. So that's my goal, dude, is just to help get more top producers in this agency because there's no reason we shouldn't have 10, 15, 30, 40K producers every single month. I think we have all the tools, resources. We got Wave Dialer now. Agents are loving that. They're able to get, 5 times the amount of activity in a day than they used to be. We got lead source galore, we got, automations and, I'm going to be starting to do some Facebook stuff, IUL, start getting some bigger case stuff going on. So yeah, dude, we got a lot of good stuff going on, dude. And we're going to get more top producers in the Zoom for sure.
Oh, man, that would be huge. See, many red jackets will be coming here.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And then Ryan.
Should say spend more money to make more money. The more you spend on leads, the more you make. So just increase. I want to get up to like 3,000 a week on lead spend. Hopefully that translates to more sales. But yeah, then obviously just keep on learning. Try different kind of leads. Dibble dabble. I would do want to try like IULs, like Anthony was just mentioning. Like you'll get bigger cases out of that. You might get fewer sales, but your AP per sale is going to go up. Stuff like that. So just kind of dibble dabble on new leads and see what's out there.
Oh, man, it's huge. You guys, no doubt. I want to have this conversation again, end of Q2. Hopefully, we get some new folks in here on the top 5. But no, man, I think this was amazing, man. I really appreciate all of you guys, coming on, sharing your insight. I think everyone else sort of got some value from this. I want to open up for questions here in a minute. But with no further ado, appreciate you guys greatly, man. I can't wait to see what you guys are able to do here in the next quarter, and obviously the next year. See you guys on the stage. We're all going to be going to convention again, so
No problem, man. Thanks for having us on, man.
pleasure.